Welcome back. Episode 2. Woo! Yeah. Haven't seen you guys in a week. I got sick right after the last one. How's your week been? Anything
Terrible.
exciting?
I work with Andrew? No.
Yes.
Andrew got a new phone. We've heard about
Yes,
it.
we've been hearing Andrew got a new phone.
Every 30
he's joining
seconds.
the blue bubbles.
Exactly.
The
Blue
bubbles.
Squad.
I feel like a rich person with an iPhone. Yeah.
Cool. How's the reception from the last episode been with friends and family and that kind of thing?
People think I'm funny.
Yeah, you are funny. Did you watch it yet?
I watched it. Yeah. Watched as much as I had time to.
Yeah.
Crazy
I mean, I
busy,
edited
but-
out like at least an hour and 40 minutes,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
crazy.
No,
I
it
had
was
no
good.
idea that it went as long as it did. No idea.
I got some good feedback, but of course, I read some comments that people are posting on your Instagram, and it's
That wasn't. I mean, not everybody was negative. There are some negative.
I think no matter
people
what
in
you
there,
talk about, anybody's going to have an opinion.
for sure. And I'll be honest. I didn't really even want to get too much into it because it is discouraging and it does kind of suck. It does, especially when you're excited to be doing something new and you're getting people grossed out by some of the things you've said, which really I didn't find all that gross, but I apologize if
I've said
people
worse.
were triggered. Other than that, things have been good. I'm feeling 10 times better, ready to go. Hopefully people can start coming in and getting their hair done again now that I'm not,
The virus.
contagious. But yeah, let's see. I guess I kind of wanted to, anything else? Any follow-up comments? Anything? No? All right. Well, I kind of wanted to get into some economic stuff, some Canada stuff. I think we talked a little bit about it. It might have been edited out of the last one, but so I want to watch this video. Andrew, you claim that you don't really know a whole lot about economics, but that's okay because I think this is going to be sort of explanatory enough.
Well, I know a little bit, but not enough that I can
And I
explain
figure
it.
you do. We all do. I think you're probably thinking we're going to go into some like graphs.
Well, I
and
just don't
shit,
know
but
enough that
that's
like I'm
just not
confident
Pie
enough to talk
chart.
about it, right?
yeah, we're not getting into any kind of like.
Well, it's pretty obvious that the writing's on the wall. Like shit is
Getting worse.
Lately. It's getting worse.
It's getting worse. It's getting really bad. And this video is one of the ones that I've watched recently that I found to be really in a quick 10-minute video really sums it up. So whenever you guys can, let me know when that's queued up.
I want to know how the hell people in Canada are even living. Like, I just got a good job. I started in September, but even with that job, it pays less than 40 grand a year. And it's a job that requires, like, education. And even on that job, like, I still can't do shit. I can't buy anything. I can't afford the rent these days. Like, I'm just feeling so much despair. And I know I'm normally like really, really positive, but I'm just like, how is everyone else and are you okay? Because the answer is probably no.
The desperation is building up in Canada. As of last count, that video had 5.4 million views on TikTok, and there are dozens more like it. And it's not just anecdotes on social media. The data bears it out. A survey from insolvency trustee firm MNP Limited found that in July of this year, 52% of Canadians were within $200 of financial insolvency. That's up from 46% just 3 months earlier. Trouble is spreading quickly. The survey also revealed what's driving people's anxieties: rising household bills and food prices, not to mention rising debt costs, with interest rates having soared in the past year and a half. And in what might be the most shocking aspect of the survey, it turned out that 35% of Canadian households don't make enough to cover their current bills. That's the highest ever recorded on the survey, and up from 30% just 3 months earlier. But in the view of Justin Trudeau's Liberal government, Canada's economy is doing just fine. It's as if the government is completely out of touch with the reality on the ground. Freeland's cherry-picked facts ignore the fact before wages were growing faster than inflation, it was the other way around, and Canadians have lost about 8 to 10% of their spending power since the COVID pandemic. And Canada's supposedly low 5.5% unemployment rate is up from 4.9% at the start of this year. According to economists at Royal Bank of Canada, when the jobless rate rises this much this quickly, it's usually a sign of recession. The reality is that Canada's economy economy has been in decline for a long time. The country hasn't seen any productivity growth in a decade at this point, and as any economist will tell you, productivity is what really drives wealth growth. Only when people produce more, or when what they produce goes up in value, does a community actually become richer. And Canada has failed to do this for decades. In the age of low interest rates, Canada replaced real economic growth with debt-fueled fake growth. Instead of innovating new products or attracting foreign investment, Canada threw its money into the housing market. Housing prices soared, and many homeowners felt like they won the lottery. Many ordinary people became real estate speculators, buying investment properties not because they thought being a landlord is what they want to do, because they were betting real estate prices would go up. And in doing so, they buried themselves in debt. All of this looked like GDP growth in the statistics, but behind it, there was no productivity growth. There is nothing productive about selling and reselling the same house for more and more money. It's an illusion of wealth, and now, in the era of high interest rates, that illusion is collapsing. Without the illusion created by constantly soaring house prices, it turns out Canada doesn't have much of an economy at all. But it's not just Canadian households. The government has become addicted to debt too. For years, Justin Trudeau's government let deficits run higher and higher, spending more and more on social programs. Then the COVID pandemic arrived and Canada's debt spending went into overdrive. Today, Canada's federal government and provinces collectively owe $2.1 trillion. That's double the debt from just 15 years ago. All that spending during the pandemic had a side effect that many economists had warned about, but the government chose to ignore: inflation. Government debt spending is inflationary because it increases total demand in the economy. Many economists call inflation a hidden tax. Instead of the government raising taxes to make up for its debt spending, it devalues the currency instead. From the point of view of the consumer, that devaluation is inflation. Food prices in Canada have been running at above 8% for 2 years. Electricity prices are up 11% over the past year. And don't forget rent. Asking rates for apartments available for rent are up 21% nationwide in the past year. And now inflation is accelerating again. The overall inflation rate in Canada fell as far as 2.8% this summer, but has spiked back up to 4%. Food prices never even slowed down in the first place. When the consequences of massive debt spending arrived in 2022 in the form of inflation, the Bank of Canada set out to do what it's been tasked with doing: controlling inflation. And to do that means to raise interest rates, which is a problem for both the government, which is now seeing soaring interest payments on its debt, and for households, which are seeing their mortgage payments explode. With $2.9 trillion in debt, Canadians are the most indebted people among all G7 nations. That's pretty much entirely thanks to mortgages. The average mortgage size in Canada has nearly doubled over the past 10 years. The total amount of money owed in mortgages by Canadian households has jumped by 50% in just 5 years. And now mortgage interest payments have jumped by 30% in a year. One important aspect of this is that the people who bought investment properties took mortgages too. Now those mortgages are soaring, and they're raising rents to make up the difference. That's one.
Just give me a thumbs up when we're back. We are back? Okay.
Remember Trudeau's really crappy haircut?
Which one?
He had one and he looked like the guy from Dumb and Dumber.
Yes.
Unreal.
Yes, that was good. But 21% rent has gone up in a year. Mm-hmm. In a year. Like, I mean, at the beginning of the video, you saw, the young woman who was obviously struggling and, $40,000 a year job. I mean, that sounds pretty destitute, if you ask me. I don't think people really quite understand how banking works. I don't think most people know what the Bank of Canada really even is. Bank of Canada is a private organization that is funded by the wealthiest people in the world who invest their money to lend to our banking institutions and lend money to our government. People aren't really prepared for what's coming. And my brother, for example, I think his mortgage has gone up $1,500 in the last few months.
Yeah, I have a few friends that their mortgages have gone up quite a bit. One of my friends, their mortgage has gone up about $4,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, people are going to be forced to sell, and I don't think it's going to be anything like the 2008, but there's going to be a bubble. It's going to burst.
Well, Canada, for example, treated the real estate market very much like stock market. Like down in the States, how stockbrokers are with the stock market. That's how people, realtors and just the general public treated the housing market. Like, oh, wow, this is where we make money. We buy property and then the property value goes up. From what I understand, most mortgages are loaned out with the understanding that for the first multiple years, you pay down the principal or you pay down the interest first. And you don't even touch the principal until a certain amount of time. Now, the trick or the trap that people aren't really realizing is that they're not building any real equity. Now, if the housing market doesn't go up and you're not paying the principal, most people move from house to house to house, right? So people don't even realize that all these years that they've been, moving on up into bigger, more expensive properties, they haven't even been paying down any of their principal loans. They're moving forward with housing profit based on the cost of houses going up. But now that that's not going to be happening anymore, you've got so many people. I mean, we just destroyed Airbnb in BC, right?
Nuts.
And when you look at what's going on, when you realize that all these choices that are being made seem to be in conflict to the general public's best interest, and then you factor in World Economic Forum and the Great Reset.
Well, it seems that
Seems to
anybody's
make sense.
It seems like with the Airbnbs, if there's anything that is helping people make money, the government steps in and just makes it harder.
Yeah.
And just takes it away from them.
Well, it's even like that. Have you guys seen Ozark?
Yeah.
Okay, so in Ozark, there's a scene where the Jason Bateman's wife, I'm drawing a blank on her name right now, but she says, there's a saying in politics that you never let a good crisis go to waste. And I've actually, before the show, heard that saying before. But the fact that that's an actual saying, I mean, come on, that's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
To think that these politicians are genuinely capitalizing on crisis in wherever they are. And that seems to be what happened during COVID. I mean, the wealth transfer that happened during COVID was absolutely insane. And I think most people are up to date on this. If I'm wrong, it's gotten to a pretty destitute situation in our country. And I mean, how about you? You own your home. I think you mentioned something along the lines of you're 3 years into your.
No, I bought it 9 years ago, my condo.
No, I know, but you're gonna have to refinance with the new interest rates.
I locked it in, I think, for 7 years.
Okay, yeah.
So, and when I did that, everyone's like, "You're an idiot. Why would you do that?" And now I'm not laughing at you, but I'm fucking laughing right now.
Yeah.
Because I would lose my condo. I wouldn't be able to afford that price hike. It's insane to me.
So is it just the condo that you own, or do you own something else?
Just a condo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you live now?
In a house.
In a house.
Yeah.
And do you rent the house?
Anson owns it.
Oh, Anson's.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I
you
just
guys
showed up
both
like a nice vase.
You guys both own it though.
In theory, I guess. Yeah.
Well, you're getting married.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Cut it right down the middle.
how about has he had any mortgage increases? I mean, I don't need to know numbers, but
Yeah, quite a bit.
and, And is that something that, was a bit of a shock or
100%. It's
Yeah.
gone up even like it was a pre-sale that we got, and then even before we moved in, it went up like as it was being built.
Yeah.
Which is just mental.
Like I think the average rent again, by all means correct anything that I've gotten wrong, but I think it's like between 26 and 2,800 or something like that
For a
on average.
two-bedroom?
I think it's even a one bedroom now.
It is $2,010.
Yeah.
Is the average.
For like a one bedroom, that would be right.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yes, for a one bedroom apartment.
Shit.
Yeah. So if you want to move in with somebody,
Get bunk beds
Yeah, you have to get bunk beds.
or thrump beds.
I feel like it's more than that though. Everybody I talk to
Well-
pays 2,300 or 2,400 and they've been in their place for a while.
It's the gamble with the landlord at that time because, if I'm not a shitty landlord, but if I was and my mortgage is $2,000 and I see all these people renting it for 28, 27, why not just fit in with the rest of them?
Yeah.
I didn't do that for my last tenant and got quite farted over, but we are moving on. We will rebuild.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. That's pretty
Well, and it's crazy too, like as I'll talk on the landlord side of it is, or the owners, whatever the fuck it is, landlord.
Yeah.
We have such risk renting to people because tenants have all the rights. This person that was in my condo last didn't pay rent for 6 months, did $20,000 worth of damages to my place, and I couldn't do a fucking thing. I couldn't go and change the locks. I could not cut off the hydro. I couldn't do a thing. And then when I go and finally, he's taken out of the place, court ordered, and I get to go there and see it, it was absolutely trashed. It
It was
was,
actually disgusting.
I can't believe that somebody with a child and a dog lived in that.
Well, he let his
And-
dog urinate everywhere.
And I couldn't do a damn thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything. And this guy, like, homeless people live better.
So he wasn't paying rent.
Nope.
Right.
And he didn't have to.
And
He
again,
legally,
remind me. Sorry, I might have missed that. How long was it?
about 6 months.
Oh,
6 months. So I'm taking.
I've heard that before. From
I'm
other
taking
people.
my, how much I pay at my house, the rent here, or my lease here, and then my mortgage on the condo, which I'm grateful that I have this. I don't want to sound like a spoiled little bitch, but holy shit.
Yeah.
That's, and the economy, we're not making as much money as we used to. I am scraping pennies.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think most people think that it's gonna turn up. It's coming back. Oh, it'll, any day now.
No.
Any day.
That's what I
Any
keep
day.
hearing is, I'll just wait for the market to drop. It hasn't.
Well, I
No,
remember-
it hasn't. They keep raising interest
It's not
rates on
going to.
mortgages.
There's
They keep
one
raising
There was
everything up.
there was an interest hike they were a review today. Does anybody know if that went up today?
It didn't get approved.
It didn't. They didn't go up.
No.
Okay. Wow.
Well,
So
that-
that's the first one.
Yep.
That's the first one since they started raising.
Well,
that
we're at
they've-
our breaking point. What else can you do? Everyone's going to
Well,
be
I
homeless.
actually, I'll be honest. I thought there was just nothing going to stop these banks, but I guess there has to be a point where
Well, there's
they
a-
realize that.
Or they're
And
giving
something's
us
gotta
false
give at
hope.
one point. There's like people in gas heated homes, like they're getting charged more taxes on fuel and everything. Well, they can't even afford to fill their tanks for their gas heated homes, and now you're going to charge them more fucking tax.
I know.
Pardon my swearing, but you're going to charge them more tax,
Yeah.
so they definitely can't afford it.
Yeah.
And they're they're going to be in there throughout the winter and freeze to death.
I know. It's crazy.
And people have 2-income families, man. Like they can't even afford to feed their kids, put clothes on their back, let alone pay rent or a mortgage.
I know.
And landlords are forced to raise their rent because
Their interest goes up
because their
and your
interest goes
strata
up
fees
and
go up.
yeah, and their strata fees go up, property taxes go up, everything keeps going up. And what are they going to do? They're just going to keep renting to somebody and just go into more and more debt. Then they're going to lose their home. Their tenant's going to be homeless. So there's really no win-win situation. It's just lose-lose all around.
Do I raise my
And
hand?
it's absolutely disgusting.
We're not in the classroom.
You can talk whenever you want.
Thank you. Now?
Yes.
Just kidding. And with the Airbnbs, I heard a couple people say the reason why they put a stop to the short-term rentals is so more people can get into housing. But the average person or the above average person is not going to be able to afford a condo downtown or a home.
Do you have a roommate?
Yeah, I have a roommate. I'm pretty lucky in my living situation.
He's got the best roommate ever.
He's-
Oh, really?
He's
I'm quite
pretty,
jealous.
he's a really awesome dude.
Oh, cool.
Trade you for mine.
But he charges me a reasonable rent. I'm very thankful for that.
Nice.
I definitely count my blessings when I can. But even with that, and of course, I bought a car last year, but
Yeah, I know that pain.
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, we always find ways to go more and more debt, right? But a lot of us are in a position where you have to, just one person has to have 2 incomes, if not 3, just to be able to try to save any fucking money, so they can try to get maybe a mortgage one day and go into more debt. See, the circle of life, it feels like, pay off more debt to go into more debt.
Yeah.
Well,
that's-
pay off debt to go into more debt.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The ruling class uses debt to keep us under their thumb.
Exactly.
And people want to call that a conspiracy, but it's always been the way. It's always been the
Well, and
way.
then you have pensions. Pensions don't go up, but the economy does. My mom can't live off her pension. We sold her house. She lives in a retirement home now. She's in a much better spot there. But it's disgusting, man,
Yeah,
because
well,
people work their whole lives and they pay into a pension. They get, if you get paid off in full or you get monthly installments after you're retired, but you can't afford to even pay your, like if you have a mortgage at that point, and if you had to be unfortunate, you've had to remortgage your home, you're just going to keep falling more and more into debt. And there's some people out there that are forced to take high interest loans out just to be able to pay debt. Mm-hmm. And then what happens there? They go into more debt.
When you think about the fact that AI is about to, free people of their employment, in the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be drastic shift in unemployment.
There's going to be a lot of desperation and a lot more people are going to turn to crime because the poverty rates are going to keep going up.
Of course.
I wish
Of
I was in
course.
high school when AI came out. I feel like I would have got a lot better grades.
Yeah, right?
Like big time.
Gosh, yeah,
my
I
essay.
know. And I remember saying leading up to the pandemic for multiple years, all these people talking about the low interest rates. Oh, and how's the time? And I would always say, well, you guys don't trust the banks. Like you're trusting the banks here, and I would tell people and they would think I was crazy. I would always ask my realtor clients too, what's the market looking like? What do you think about all this borrowing and lending? And, oh, it's great. Oh, I think it's great. Oh, I think the people are really enriching. And I remember thinking, I don't think you guys really quite know how the Bank of Canada works. And, I honestly thought it's only a matter of time before something causes those interest rates to go up. And then when the pandemic hit, I started all the alarm bells started going off like, oh, this looks like the moment.
Well, a lot of people were taking the CERB and they didn't even have to. And even if people didn't take it, they're paying for it now. I haven't gone 1 week without quoting Trudeau saying, oh, the budget will balance itself,
With his
really?
haircut.
Really? Yeah, with a shitty haircut and all the money he's just throwing away, just literally pissing money away.
The World Economic Forum is a legitimate organization that has, large membership of people around the world. It seems to be people who are wealthy. Those that have a ton of money get together and talk about how they can use their money to better the world, basically. And when you think about how the banks work and the decisions that the banks work, and then when you relate them to the things that the World Economic Forum talks about and the things that the World Economic Forum is working towards, the irrational decision making seems to make sense. If anybody knows what the slogan to the World Economic Forum's Great Reset, written by Klaus Schwab, which is one of the top members, the slogan is, "You will own nothing and be happy." And anybody who is a well-versed conspiracy theorist knows that this dystopian future that was predicted for us was considered and called the New World Order, which I always thought was hysterical. I always thought that's so stupid. I had a buddy who would say, "Oh, Maddie, it's the New World Order. Oh, it's the new," and I'd be like, calm down, settle down.
Another thing that has to do with a lot of people not having money is we all get in the pattern of wanting more and wanting to buy the new fucking Air Jordans, buy a new car,
Buy the new iPhone.
buy the new iPhone, buy this, buy that, right? I'm going to quote Fight Club here, with Tyler Durden. He says, we buy shit we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like.
And we don't talk about Fight Club.
And we don't talk about Fight
And
Club.
we don't talk about Fight Club. No, it's true though.
Yeah.
That's true though. I mean, we all know we watch everybody else's feeds and we're all guilty of feeling inadequate.
Well, I see these people
In
come down,
comparison.
like working at the bar. I see the same people come down every weekend. And, some guys talk to me at the bar and, they complain about so much shit, whether it's financial problems or this or that. Like, buddy, you're coming down here every fucking weekend and you're getting butt house drunk.
Butt
Yeah.
house.
Butt house. Yeah, I will use that term. I love that term.
Of course you do.
But the amount of money you spend on booze, like,
Well, and people should be going out to the club to celebrate. What the hell are
well,
you
of course,
celebrating?
yeah,
Being
you're just
broke?
celebrating every weekend.
Having
Just
8
be like,
roommates?
yeah, working your shitty job that you don't like,
Wearing ugly
getting off
shoes?
work on Friday. All right, let's go get shit faced and be hungover all weekend. When, I was guilty of that in my 20s, right? But there's a reason why I don't drink. I rarely drink, and when I do, it's usually on my birthday or
Any day that ends in Y.
yeah, or like Christmas Eve or something like that.
I'm not a big drinker. I used to drink when I would go out to the club and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Well, people
Yeah.
don't think logically when they're drunk too, right?
No.
Whether it's a
inner ambitions
third
come
drink
out,
or
right?
sixth drink or even the first drink, they're
All caution. to the wind.
like everything goes like yeah.
I've never tried Coke. I was told by a good buddy of mine when I was about 20 or 21. He said, "Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it, because if you do it, it's like drinking. It's like once you start doing it and partying with it, it's going to be next to impossible to not party with it."
Well, it's like Robin Williams said, cocaine is God's way of telling you you're making too much money.
Did he say that?
He did, yeah, at one
Interesting.
point.
Interesting.
Because there is no such thing as just once.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, you're gonna want more of it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be chasing that initial high. It's like Keith Richards, he explained addiction to a T. He says, you're always trying to chase the high better than the one you had before until next thing you know, you're dead. Mm-hmm. The ultimate high.
Mm-hmm. when it comes to our finances, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't help but feeling like this is just so obvious. People don't even realize that, like, things like World War II. World War II, nobody wanted to take part in World War II. And the only reason why they wanted to take part, the U.S. and the government and all these people, the ruling class wanted people to take part, is war makes money. Pearl Harbor was kind of caused on purpose by the U.S. And this is through declassified information that suggests that the American government knew that there was a potential attack coming from Pearl Harbor, because they had poked the bear essentially by cutting off the shipping lanes for Japan during their war against, I'm drawing a blank, I can't remember for some reason who they were fighting. But during the Japanese war, they cut off their shipping lanes, which made, you can't get food, supplies, anything. And then they left Pearl Harbor unprotected. And they did that on purpose, knowing that at some point Japan is going to attack.
It's going to give them a reason to attack back.
And
Did you learn this in school?
No,
No?
a lot of shit I read about.
But yeah, so
Well-
Pearl Harbor was eventually attacked. And then, of course, before Pearl Harbor, it was 90% of the general population in the United States did not want to go to war. They were like, nope, not our war. Sorry, we're not into it. And then Pearl Harbor happened, and bing, bang, boom, everybody wanted to go to war. And they entered the war in 1944. The war had been going on since 1939. And U.S. only entered it in 1944.
They were if there were any U.S. soldiers in the war, it was because they volunteered.
Yeah, prior to that, yes.
Prior to that, they
Yeah.
volunteered and fought alongside with like England.
The central bank is manipulating us. I mean, we're being manipulated in every capacity of our existence now. And people don't think that Google and Hollywood and all these things are being used to manipulate us. I mean, that's crazy to me that people don't think that, for example, you read a book, it changes your perception, right? You read one book, boom, your perception is shifted. And of course, anybody who has any kind of insight into sociology would understand that if you wanted to control a group of people, well, hey, getting into their heads is probably the fastest way to do that.
Making them fight amongst each other.
Division,
Because,
right?
Yeah, divide people, and it keeps them distracted of what's really going on.
Well, and a lot of times people don't quite understand that the division keeps you, they even call it, right? They even call the left and right
Well,
media, which is because we operate in our left and right brains.
over the past 3 years, man, if you didn't, like now, it's like if you don't agree with somebody on their opinion on literally anything now, they just out you to be a shitty person. You know?
Yeah.
Like nobody can have
Yeah,
nobody can
they
have
do.
an opinion anymore on anything, man. It's just ridiculous.
No, it's funny too, right? Because when we-
It stops people from talking. It stops people from wanting to have an opinion now. And I have an opinion on many things. Sometimes I keep my mouth shut just because I just don't really want to converse with a certain person I'm talking to about it. Because I just don't have the mental capacity to deal with an argument at the time.
yeah,
But
I
it's
can
just,
be like that sometimes.
but it's sometimes we got to get back to a time where we can actually all get along. Like, hey,
I feel like most people are too afraid to be outspoken in any regard now, and
too scared to get canceled, too scared to offend people.
this is the thing: if we can't discuss things, then the ruling class wins, right? Because they keep us from reaching our higher levels by keeping us fixated in our right and left brains, which is what they do through all sorts of different manipulation, whether it's utilizing this whole idea of sexism and racism and
Criticism?
criticism.
Oh.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Go off, queen.
Criticism from all sorts of things. And there's also, health in general. Like, I mean, the lies that we've been told about our health, that's something I'd rather, I plan on getting into on a whole nother episode. But those lies are just, unbelievable. And when I started figuring out those lies back in 2015, 2016, it became so obvious that our governments don't care about our health. They want our health to slowly but surely degrade because it makes a lot of money.
Well, yeah, because then people are going to have to start relying on prescription drugs.
prescription drugs.
And as we all know, a cured patient is a lost customer to
Yeah.
big pharma. So
Yeah. It seems as though the industrialists, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, all these people who understood that the population was going to be rising as a result of being able to produce more food, right? Through industry and oil and all that kind of stuff, we were able to produce more food. And if we could produce, fields of wheat and fields of grain and all these things that, would make it more affordable to provide for your children, we had the rise of carbohydrates in our society, right? And carbohydrates evidently, create a spike in our glucose levels. And they knew that through that spike, they were going to be monetizing we were going to be having health issues, because putting too much energy in your system creates a surplus, which will lead to all sorts of different things. So in order to combat it, they decided to create the pharmaceutical industry. And now when you look at the turn of the 21st century, it seems as though everything seems to have repeated itself. At the turn of the 20th, we went into a pandemic. We went into a world war.
as long as it's making them money, they don't give a shit though.
Yeah, right. And now it seems as though we're doing the same thing. We're coming into the 21st century. We are in and out of wars. We had another pandemic. It seems like they're going to be monetizing our mental health now, right? I mean, look at what's happening to our mental health. It is being degraded on a daily basis.
Well, and there's no reason that going to a therapist should not be included in our regular medical services plan, man.
It should be.
It should be. There's no reason it shouldn't be. It should be, because
But they
mental
know-
health is concerning these days. The suicide, we've talked about this before. Suicide's on the rise. People are going
1 in 4
batshit crazy.
Men's suicide rates are 4 times women's suicide rates.
Yeah. Should touch base more on mental health on and just health and
Yeah,
fitness in general.
No,
in
we
the
can
next
we can
episode.
definitely wrap it up. There's going to be we'll do it again in a week.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. So we will close by saying thanks for cutting us short.
I'm so sorry.
I'm totally kidding. No, I
feel
need to
terrible.
get some dinner anyway. I haven't, me and my one meal a day. I have yet to eat. And what
You're
time is
famished.
it? What
Almost
time is it?
8:30.
Almost
8:18.
Wow, has it really been that long?
My friends are screaming, "When are you coming?" I'm like,
Cool.
"Fuck, okay,
No,
I'm sorry."
this is cool. All right, come and get your hair done at CoLab. We are welcoming all clients, men, women, but we really want everybody out there to know that this is a barbershop. And other than that, until next week.